What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of East Side Flock. I'm Eric G, and today we are going to be talking about the end of an era, the end of two coaches who brought the energy, who hated each other, who continued a rivalry for 18 years. Two people who have the utmost respect from fans, players, media, two people who have embodied the sport of football. Two guys who have gone at it over and over and over again, and it's been cinema every time. We're talking about John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin not being the coaches of their team, current team, past team anymore, which is crazy to me. I grew up hating Mike Tomlin ever since the Jacoby Jones incident. Him tripping him, trying to trip him on the sideline. We hated Tomlin merely because he kept beating us, right? Merely because they were winning something. And the Ravens got something bad. Man, these two, when you look at these pictures and when you look at the history, man, these guys were the rivalry. Like, when you think Ravens Steelers, you think Harbaugh and Tomlin, because they've just been doing it for so many years, going back and forth, smiling on the sideline here. They respect and hate each other. Shaking after the playoff game here, emotions high. Some pure hatred, but also mutual respect. That's why it was an awesome rivalry. These two admired each other, hated each other. The first thing that happened was that John Harbaugh gets fired. Tyler Lute misses a kick. Boom, Harbaugh out the door. And we'll get into the Steve Bisciotti interview, so stick around for that too. When he was talking with the media, we'll get into that. But this was crazy to me. I did not expect this to happen per se. I really thought they were going to stick out with him. But these two just over the years have gone at it, and it's been one of the most fun rivalries to watch. I just think knowing that there was just such a familiarity in this rivalry that none of the other rivalries really had. Like, nobody had head coaches for 18 years for these two to know each other, and you never knew who was going to win. There was times the Steelers should have won games they lost. There was times Ravens should have won games they lost. The last two, Ravens definitely should have won those games, and somehow Tomlin comes out on top in both of them. It was always crazy. You never knew what was going to happen. That's what made this the best rivalry. But let's look at why the Steelers got rid of, well, more like why Tomlin stepped down. Because the Steelers didn't get rid of him. He stepped down as coaching, whereas Harbaugh was fired. And we know, if you've seen this channel, I've talked enough about why Harbaugh needed to go and all of his issues. Let's look at the most important thing, the playoffs. Everybody talks about this. This is Lamar's biggest criticism. Everybody gets on him, the playoffs. So let's look at what the Steelers have done in the playoffs. They got their ass handed to them at home, like, badly. 30-6, you get blown out. So that's rough. You get in on a missed kick. Probably shouldn't have even been in the playoffs, and then it really proved it right there. You couldn't score more than 6. Now the Texans have a great defense. The Ravens probably still would have lost to the Texans. They would have put up more than 6 points. Oh, then they played Baltimore and lost 28-14. You on the road, okay? On the road at the Bills, you lost 31-17. Just, oh my. Oh, all right. 21, you versus the Chiefs. Oh. 42-21. Then you played the Browns and lost that game by 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, double-digit blowouts. You got to move on from the coach, because that's not the expectation, right? This is supposed to be a organization that won 6 championships. They didn't do anything recently. You go back, okay, lost to the, oh my gosh, they lost to Jacksonville. Oh my gosh, and then the most recent was 2016, 2017 technically was the year. They lose in the conference championship to the Patriots, and that's the most recent success, is a loss to the Patriots in 2017. That's a problem. You can't have this many losses this many blowout losses, he had to move on. He had to. And yes, it was probably, not his fault per se. Aaron Rodgers played a terrible game. But you look at this, and it's just unacceptable. To be 6-10 in a wild card, and most of your losses previously are in a wild card round, like, that's rough. Divisional playoffs, you lose to Jacksonville. I mean, this just hasn't been great. You have 6 championships. They expect more. So I see him wanting to step down, wanting to pass it on. But obviously, this is the end of an era. Both coaches are out. And it's crazy. And honestly, I thought it was interesting that Tomlin said when Harbaugh got fired that it was a product of basically impatience. Yet, Steelers fans, y'all been patient. He hasn't provided. So I think it's not necessarily patience, but people are fed up, right? There's expectations that you bring as a head coach. I think what was interesting was what we saw from Steve Bisciotti today in the interview with the media. And this was crazy. I'm going to just basically summarize it for you. I'm not going to go too into it. Basically, he said Lamar and the coaches had a good relationship. That he didn't know where that was coming from. He said, I didn't see that. They asked him, you want Lamar as your QB? Like, there's trade talks. Yeah, he's our guy. We'll eat the contract if we have to. That was crazy to me. And I think the fact that he has so much faith in Lamar is awesome because we as the fans love that. It's insane. He then goes, in my opinion, I believe that he was basically saying that his response was, anything not AFC Championship, Super Bowl, he was gone. They asked him, if Tyler Luke makes that kick, is Harbaugh still the coach of the Ravens? And he said, this week. Basically meaning if he ain't get very far, boom, gone, out there. It was insane. They then were talking about if Tucker was in that situation, do you think he makes the case? He's like, nah, I left that decision up to EDC and Harbaugh. And they were like, yeah, we gotta get Tucker out of here. And do I think Tucker's making that kick? Heck no. He was ass at the end of his career, and nobody signed him, and he had multiple tryouts. So, to me, he just wasn't going to make that kick no matter what. I stand by that. What I did love was that he talked about the head coach hiring process. Now, for the Steelers, it's obviously different. Tomlin stepped down. You got to trade to get him. The Ravens fired Harbaugh. And obviously people are talking about if they switched and all that. But what he was talking about was, I'm going to leave it up to the people that understand ball, right? The people that this is their job to do this. And he said, I'm going to look at character. I'm going to look for red flags they may not see. But I'm going to give my opinion, and that'll affect their board. He's staying out of it. I would love to see that. Too many times we have seen owners get involved, get their hands in, and shit goes wrong. And there's not an involvement like the owner for the Colts, right? The owner for the Colts, she's amazing. She's getting involved, understanding the process, seeing things, talking, absorbing, and then making decisions. Other times, not to name other bad owners in the league, but you know what I'm talking about. They will do things that the fan base doesn't like. They will do things that you're looking at it like, huh? And here, the Ravens owner is saying, hey, hands off. I'm going to let y'all do your thing. And that's beautiful. And I really appreciate that. I think that this is a really good sign, actually, for both teams. Because the Steelers have an opportunity to figure out their identity, because they've lost it. Let's be real. They haven't had an identity in all these times. Their identity is beat the Ravens in the regular season. That's their identity. To be honest. They have not been a good organization and haven't had an identity. And that playoff shows it. Even the Ravens, who've had tremendous playoff struggles, had more wins in that time period. Which is ridiculous. Like, both organizations, both teams are off to a new era, a new identity, a new this, a new that. And I'm so excited to see where this goes. The rivalry will continue. The fans will keep that rivalry up. And obviously, whoever comes in needs to take on the culture and the identity of the two coaches not liking each other that was set by Tomlin. These are two legendary coaches. It was their time to go. All good things must come to an end. This is the end of a crazy era. Oh my gosh. I'm grateful to have lived in this era and grateful to have been taught the rivalry by these two coaches. These two right here. These two have taught me everything I need to know about rivalries, everything I need to know, the handshakes over the years, the frustration, the all love at the end of the day, but I still hate you on the field. It really is the end of an amazing era. And shout out both these coaches. They're both Hall of Fame coaches in my opinion. And that's coming from a Ravens fan. So, if you think these two are not Hall of Fame coaches, you don't know ball. These two have done amazing things. And shout out both of them. For more Baltimore sports content, you can follow me on Instagram. If you're a Ravens fan, see all the trolling that I was doing when the Steelers lost and all of the heartbreak that I went through with the Steelers beating us. So, I love to get into all that. Love the rivalry. It is awesome. Keep it alive. Go follow me on Instagram at Eastside_Flock on Instagram. Subscribe here on YouTube. Hopefully, we will see you in the next one. Have a blessed day, evening, afternoon, night, whatever it is for you. Hopefully, I will see you all in the next one. Peace. Much love. Goodbye.